The message was always the same. No matter which alien ruin they explored, no matter which dead civilization they studied, the warning remained constant. Beware the humans. Dr. Alan Wright rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the strange symbols carved into the ancient stone wall. The air in the ruins was stale and cold, but his excitement kept him warm. After 20 years of studying alien civilizations, this was his biggest discovery yet. "I've confirmed the translation," said Jack Peters, kneeling beside him. Jack was younger than Alan by 15 years, with a talent for languages both human and alien. "It's the same warning we found on Proxima b and in the Ta City system." Lieutenant Diane Foster stood nearby, her hand resting casually on her sidearm. As their military escort, she took her job seriously. So 3 different alien civilizations, separated by thousands of light years, all left the same message about humans. That doesn't make sense. Humans have only been in space for about 200 years. Alan nodded slowly. That's what makes this so fascinating. These ruins are at least 10,000 years old. Humanity was still figuring out agriculture when this empire fell. The 3 of them were part of a research team sent by the Galactic Council to investigate the ruins of what they called the Praxian Empire. The Council, a collection of 27 spacefaring species, had only admitted humanity 50 years ago. Many council members still viewed humans with suspicion. "We should report this to the council immediately," Diane said, her voice firm. "Not yet," Alan replied. "I want to understand more before we send anything back. The council is already nervous about humans. This could make things worse." Jack pointed his light deeper into the ruins. "There's a chamber ahead that might have been some kind of data storage. If any of their technology still works, we might get answers." They walked carefully through the crumbling corridors. Strange murals covered the walls, showing tall, 4-armed beings with elongated heads. The Praxians. Once they had controlled hundreds of worlds. Now they were gone, leaving only ruins and warnings. The storage chamber was a large circular room with a device in the center. It looked like a metal tree with crystal fruits hanging from its branches. "Careful," Alan warned as Jack approached it. "We don't know if it's safe." Jack smiled. "That's why you brought me, right? To take risks." Before Alan could stop him, Jack touched one of the crystals. It glowed blue, then projected images into the air above them. The images showed Earth, but Earth as it was thousands of years ago. Primitive humans in animal skins lived in small villages. Then the images showed Praxian ships descending from the sky. They visited Earth during the Stone Age. Alan whispered in awe. The projection continued. The Praxians approached the humans, towering over them. They offered tools, showed them simple technologies. The humans learned quickly, too quickly. The images showed humans studying Praxian devices, taking them apart, putting them back together. Then the projection showed conflict. Humans fighting back against Praxian overseers, using modified Praxian weapons against them. The final image showed Praxian ships fleeing Earth, pursued by smaller vessels that could only have been human-made. The projection ended, and the crystal went dark. "Impossible," Diane said. "Stone Age humans couldn't have done that." Alan's mind raced. Unless the Praxians underestimated humans, unless they thought they were getting simple workers but found something else instead. Jack looked troubled. If this is true, what happens when the council sees it? Alan had no answer. The council already debated whether humans were too aggressive, too ambitious for galactic society. This discovery would only fuel those fears. "We need to learn more," he finally said. "Before we tell the council anything, we need the full story." But as they left the chamber, they didn't notice the small drone watching them. A council drone, transmitting everything back to Advisory Admiral Zorax, who had never trusted humans in the first place. Advisory Admiral Zorax stood with his 4 arms clasped behind his back, watching the drone footage for the 3rd time. His scaled skin reflected the blue light of the display as images of the human researchers played before him. So the legends were true, he said to his second-in-command. Humans have been a threat since before they even left their planet. We should take this to the full council, his aide suggested. Zorax shook his head. Not yet. Let us gather more evidence first. Back in the ruins, Alan and his team continued their exploration. They had set up a small camp in what appeared to be an ancient meeting hall. Portable lights cast long shadows across alien murals that told stories none of them fully understood. I found something, Jack called out from a side chamber. Alan and Diane hurried over to find him kneeling before a wall covered in small crystals, each about the size of a human thumb. It's a data archive, Jack explained. Each crystal contains memories or records. I've figured out how to access them, but most are damaged. Still, I've managed to piece together more of the story. Alan felt a rush of excitement. Show us. Jack placed one of the crystals into a small device he'd assembled from their equipment and his own understanding of Praxian technology. A holographic display flickered to life, showing more images of ancient Earth. The Praxians were explorers, Jack narrated as the images changed. They found Earth about 12,000 years ago and saw humans as an interesting primitive species. At first, they just observed, but then they decided to use humans as workers in small mining operations. The images showed primitive humans digging in quarries under the watchful eyes of Praxian overseers. They chose humans because we were adaptable and had good hand-eye coordination, Jack continued. They thought they could control us easily because of their advanced technology. They didn't see us as a threat. The next images showed humans watching the Praxians, studying them, learning their tools. The humans began to learn faster than expected, Jack said. They didn't just use the tools they were given. They improved them. When the Praxians noticed, they tried to stop it. The display showed conflict. Praxians destroying human-made tools, punishing those who had created them. But it was too late, Jack said as the display changed again. The humans had already learned too much. They had seen Praxian weapons and ships. They understood principles they shouldn't have grasped for thousands of years. The final images showed what looked like a rebellion. Humans using stolen and modified Praxian technology to fight back. The Praxians, surprised by the humans' adaptability, retreated to their ships. But some humans had already figured out how to operate smaller Praxian vessels and followed them into space. The display flickered and died. That's all I can get from these crystals, Jack said. But it's clear that the Praxians severely underestimated humans. What they saw as simple tool users turned out to be quick learners who could reverse engineer advanced technology. Diane looked troubled. So the Praxians tried to enslave humans, and humans fought back. That seems fair to me. I agree, Alan said. But I'm worried about how the Council will see this. They already think humans are too aggressive. This will just confirm their fears. There must be more to this story, Jack insisted. The Praxians were just one empire. Why did other civilizations leave the same warning? Before anyone could answer, their communications device beeped. It was a message from the Council ship in orbit. Dr. Wright, said a cold voice. This is Advisory Admiral Zorax. I am hereby taking control of this expedition. You will share all your findings immediately. We have reason to believe you have discovered information vital to galactic security. Alan exchanged worried glances with Diane and Jack. How did Zorax know what they had found? And what would he do with this information about humanity's past? We need to find the whole truth before Zorax uses this against all humans, Alan whispered. But as Council soldiers began to descend toward the ruins in a shuttle, he wondered if they were already too late. Council soldiers surrounded Alan, Jack, and Diane in the ancient chamber. 6 tall aliens with weapons pointed at the humans while Admiral Zorax walked slowly around the Praxian data archive. You should have reported this immediately, Zorax said. His voice was calm, but his 4 eyes narrowed with suspicion. Information about a species that destroyed the Praxian Empire is not something to keep secret. We didn't keep it secret, Alan argued. We were still gathering data. And the humans didn't destroy the Praxians. They defended themselves against enslavement. Zorax waved a long-fingered hand dismissively. That is your interpretation. The council will decide what really happened. He turned to one of his soldiers. Pack up all this technology. It's going to council scientists for proper study. Jack stepped forward. You can't just take this. We've barely scratched the surface of what's here. Two soldiers moved to block Jack. Diane's hand moved toward her weapon, but Alan shook his head slightly. They were outnumbered. Zorax smiled, showing pointed teeth. You are still part of this expedition, Dr. Wright. You will all return to the council station to help with the analysis, under my supervision. 3 days later, they stood in a large laboratory on the council space station. The room was filled with Praxian crystals and technology from the ruins. Council scientists from various species worked at different stations, studying the ancient artifacts. In the center of the lab, a council scientist named Ella Mason worked on a special project. Ella was one of the few humans allowed to work for the council's science division. She had built a simulation based on the data from the Praxian crystals. The simulation is ready, Ella announced. Alan, Jack, and Diane gathered around her display, along with Zorax and several council officials. Ella activated the program. A three-dimensional image appeared, showing a perfect recreation of Earth 12,000 years ago. They watched as the scene played out. Praxian ships landing, humans being taken as workers, and the beginning of the conflict. The simulation is built directly from Praxian memories, Ella explained. It should show us exactly what happened. The simulation continued, showing humans learning Praxian technology faster than expected. It showed the first human attempts to copy Praxian tools and the harsh punishment that followed. Then something unexpected happened. The simulation showed a small group of humans meeting in secret. They were not just copying Praxian technology, they were improving it. That's impossible, one council official said. Stone Age humans couldn't have improved technology from an advanced space-faring species, and yet that's what the Praxian records show, Alan replied. The simulation continued. It showed humans creating weapons the Praxians had never seen. When the Praxians tried to stop them, the humans fought back with surprising effectiveness. Their weapons were crude but worked in ways the Praxians weren't prepared for. Suddenly, the simulation glitched. The images became distorted and then froze completely. What happened? Zorax demanded. Ella checked her equipment. Some of the data is corrupted. The rest of the simulation can't run. Convenient, Zorax said, looking at the humans suspiciously. Just as we were about to see how your ancestors defeated a far superior enemy. Captain Sam Rivera entered the laboratory. As the human representative to the council, he had been called to the station when the discovery was reported. Admiral Zorax, Sam said with formal politeness, I understand you found some interesting historical information. We've found evidence that humans have been dangerous since their earliest history, Zorax replied. This supports my position that humans should be restricted in their activities within council space. Sam remained calm. Or it shows that humans value freedom and have always been resourceful when facing threats. The simulation is incomplete, Alan added. We need more information before making any judgments. Zorax's eyes narrowed. And where do you suggest we find this information? Jack, who had been quietly examining the Praxian artifacts, looked up. I think I know. The crystals mention another outpost, one with a functioning AI system, an oracle that recorded the final days of the Praxian Empire. It might have the answers we're looking for. Zorax considered this. Then we will find this oracle. And we will learn just how dangerous humans truly are. The council ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near a small rocky planet. Through the view screen, they could see the surface was barren and lifeless, covered in vast deserts and dry mountain ranges. Are you sure this is the right place? Zorax asked, doubt clear in his voice. Jack nodded. According to the Praxian records, they built their most important facilities underground, away from detection. The expedition team had grown. Now it included Alan, Jack, and Diane, along with Captain Sam Rivera, Ella Mason, Admiral Zorax, and several council soldiers and scientists. They were all searching for the Praxian Oracle, an AI system that might explain why ancient aliens feared humans. Their ship landed near coordinates Jack had found in the crystal data. The surface was hot and dry, with strong winds blowing dust everywhere. They wore protective suits as they left the ship. The entrance should be somewhere in this area, Jack said, consulting his device. Diane pointed to a small opening in a nearby rock face. There, that doesn't look natural. They approached cautiously. The opening led to a tunnel that sloped downward. As they moved deeper, lights activated automatically along the walls. The tunnel opened into a large chamber filled with technology that still hummed with power after thousands of years. Impressive, Ella whispered. Their power systems lasted all this time. In the center of the chamber stood a tall cylindrical structure made of dark metal and pulsing with blue light. It was connected to various smaller devices by cables that looked like flowing liquid metal. That must be the Oracle, Alan said, a Praxian AI designed to preserve their knowledge. Jack approached the central column, studying the control panel at its base. I think I can activate it, but I'm not sure what will happen. Proceed with caution, Zorax ordered, his soldiers taking defensive positions around the room. Jack carefully touched the panel. The blue light pulsed brighter, and a holographic display appeared above the column. It showed a Praxian figure, tall and four-armed, with an elongated head. Welcome, the figure said in a voice that somehow translated directly into their minds. I am the Keeper of Knowledge, final oracle of the Praxian Empire. The hologram looked around at the group, its gaze stopping on the humans. Suddenly, red lights began flashing throughout the chamber, and the oracle's voice changed tone. Human presence detected. Security protocols activated. Heavy doors began closing at the chamber entrances. Zorax's soldiers raised their weapons. Stop, Alan shouted, stepping toward the oracle. We're not your enemies. We came to learn. The oracle paused, the red lights still flashing. Humans were the downfall of the Praxian Empire. That's what we want to understand, Sam said, joining Alan. The records show Praxians tried to enslave humans. Is that true? The oracle was silent for a moment, as if considering. The humans show curiosity rather than aggression. This is unexpected. I will share knowledge. The red lights faded, and the doors stopped closing. The oracle's hologram expanded, showing images all around the chamber. The Praxian Empire encountered Earth 12,103 standard years ago. Humans were primitive but showed unusual adaptability. The Empire saw potential for workers who could operate in various environments. The images showed Praxians taking humans to work in mines on different worlds. The Empire did not consider this enslavement, but rather uplifting of a primitive species. The oracle continued. This was our first mistake. Humans did not see it the same way. The images changed to show humans watching, learning, and secretly communicating with each other. Our second mistake was underestimating human intelligence and creativity. When they learned our language and technology, they did not just copy, they innovated. They found weaknesses we never considered. Now the images showed humans creating new weapons and tools, different from Praxian designs. When we tried to stop them, they fought back, not just with force, but with unpredictable strategies that our military could not counter. They turned our own technology against us in ways we had never imagined. The final images showed Praxian ships retreating from Earth, pursued by smaller vessels operated by humans. The Empire attempted to quarantine Earth, but it was too late. The humans had already spread to several of our outposts. Within one generation, they had taken our technology and made it their own. The Praxian Empire, which had lasted for 10,000 years, fell within 50 years of first contact with humans. Everyone in the chamber was silent, absorbing this incredible story. But that's not all, the oracle said. The Praxians were not the first to fall to humans, nor the last. The room fell silent as the oracle's words hung in the air. What do you mean the Praxians weren't the first to fall to humans? Alan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The oracle's hologram shifted, displaying a galactic map with several points highlighted across vast distances. Before encountering humans, the Praxian Empire discovered ruins of other fallen civilizations. 5 major empires, each separated by thousands of years, all left warnings about humans. We did not understand until it was too late. Zorak stepped forward, his 4 arms crossed across his chest. Show us these warnings. The oracle displayed 5 different alien symbols, each followed by the same message: beware the humans. Each empire fell after contact with Earth, the oracle continued. Each underestimated humans in different ways. The hologram changed to show 5 distinct alien species and their encounters with ancient humans. The Vex believed their advanced mathematics made them superior. Humans proved that intuition can sometimes find solutions that pure logic misses. Images showed humans defeating seemingly impossible puzzle traps that the Vex had created. The Kareth believed their physical strength made them unbeatable. Humans showed that strategy can overcome brute force. The display showed smaller, weaker humans working together to defeat larger Kareth warriors. The Zin believed their telepathic abilities gave them an advantage. Humans demonstrated that a mind that thinks differently cannot be easily controlled. Images showed Zin telepaths confused and overwhelmed when trying to control human minds. The Otaru believed their technology was incomprehensible to lesser species. Humans proved that curiosity and determination can unlock any secret. The display showed humans taking apart complex Otaru machines and rebuilding them. The Mir believed their unity made them invincible. Humans showed that adaptability can overcome even perfect coordination. Final images showed human groups using unpredictable tactics to defeat the perfectly organized Mir. In each case, the oracle concluded, humans were not the aggressors. They were discovered, underestimated, often exploited, and always fought back with unexpected effectiveness. Captain Sam looked at Zorax. This changes everything. Humans weren't some violent species destroying peaceful empires. These empires tried to control humans and failed. Zorax's expression was hard to read. It doesn't change the fact that humans are dangerous. Only to those who threaten us, Diane said firmly. As they argued, Alan noticed Jack working quietly at another console. What are you doing? He whispered. Downloading the oracle's data, Jack replied softly. I don't trust Zorax to share all this with the council. Suddenly, an alarm sounded, not from the ancient facility, but from their ship. Ella checked her communicator. There's an emergency message from Earth. The council has called an emergency session about the human threat. They're reviewing our preliminary findings about the Praxians. Without the full context, Sam said, alarmed. If they only hear part of the story. We need to get back immediately, Alan insisted. Zorax's communicator beeped. He read the message and looked up with a cold expression. It appears I've been given new orders. As a precaution, the Council has authorized a fleet to monitor Earth until this situation is resolved. Monitor or attack? Sam demanded. That depends on the Council's decision, Zorax replied smoothly. And on human behavior. You can't do this, Alan protested. We have evidence that humans were never the aggressors. Evidence that must be properly evaluated, Zorax said. For now, you will all return to the ship. We leave immediately. As they walked back to the surface, Jack slipped something to Alan, a small data device. I got most of the Oracle's records, he whispered. We need to get this to Earth before the Council makes a decision based on fear. Alan nodded grimly. They needed to act fast. The Oracle had shown them that humans had faced threats from the stars before and had always survived. But this time, they weren't primitive tribes with nothing to lose. This time, billions of lives were at stake. As they boarded the ship, Alan, Jack, Diane, Sam, and Ella exchanged determined looks. Somehow, they needed to escape Zorax and warn Earth about what was coming. The journey back to the Council Station was tense. Zorax kept the humans under close watch, though he maintained the pretense that they were still respected members of the expedition. Alan, Jack, Diane, Sam, and Ella stayed close, speaking in whispers when they could. "We need a plan," Sam said quietly as they gathered in the ship's small dining area. "Once we reach the station, Zorax will separate us." "I might have an idea," Ella replied, her voice barely audible over the hum of the ship's engines. "But it's risky." Before she could explain, Zorax entered the room. "Captain Rivera, you're needed on the bridge. We've received a transmission from the Council." Sam followed Zorax out, giving the others a meaningful look. 20 minutes later, he returned, his face grim. "It's worse than we thought," he said when Zorax was gone. "The Council has already held a preliminary vote. They're considering a containment protocol for Earth." "What does that mean?" Ellen asked. "It means sealing off Earth from the rest of the galaxy. No ships in or out. Officially, it's for everyone's protection, while they study the Oracle's information. Unofficially, it's the first step towards something worse," Diane finished. "I've seen military containment protocols before. They always start with isolation, then move to neutralization if deemed necessary." Jack looked around nervously. "We need to warn Earth. But how?" "All communications go through Council channels." "Not all communications," Ella said with a small smile. "Remember, I work for the Council's Science Division. I have access to emergency channels that bypass regular protocols." "So what's your plan?" Ellen asked. Ella explained quickly. She would create a distraction in the ship's engine room, triggering alarms that would require Zorax's attention. Meanwhile, Sam would use his authority as a human representative to demand a private communication with Earth regarding the Council's vote. During that communication, he would warn Earth about the fleet and transmit the Oracle's data. "It might work," Diane said. "But what about after? Zorax will know we did something." "By then, it won't matter," Sam replied. "Once Earth has the information, they can present the full truth to the Council. Zorax won't be able to control the narrative anymore." They agreed to act when the ship was 2 hours from the Council Station, close enough for clear communications, but far enough that Zorax would have limited options if he discovered their plan. When the time came, Ella made her way to the engine room. Minutes later, alarms blared throughout the ship. Zorax rushed to investigate with most of his security team. Sam immediately headed to the communication room. "I need to contact Earth regarding the Council vote," he told the remaining guard. "It's my right as their representative." The guard hesitated but eventually agreed. Once alone, Sam quickly established the emergency channel Ella had told him about. He connected with Earth's defense headquarters and explained the situation rapidly. "Transmitting data now," he said, plugging in Jack's device. "This proves that humans were never the aggressors. The Council is acting on incomplete information." The data began transferring. On the screen, Earth officials looked alarmed but resolute. "We're tracking a Council fleet approaching our system," one official said. "What are their intentions?" "Officially, just observation," Sam replied. "But be prepared for worse. Some Council members see humans as a threat based on these ancient warnings." Suddenly, the door opened. Zorax stood there, his eyes narrow with anger. "Exactly what I expected," he said. "Humans proving they can't be trusted." "We're proving we won't be condemned without a fair hearing," Sam replied calmly. "The data transfer is complete," the Earth official announced. "We're analyzing it now. And Captain Rivera, we're sending ships to escort you home." Zorax stepped into the room. "That would be unwise. The Council fleet has orders to prevent any human ships from approaching our position." "Then you've already decided we're guilty," Sam said, without even hearing the full story. "The story I've heard is quite enough," Zorax replied. 6 ancient empires, all destroyed after contact with humans. The pattern is clear. The pattern is that those empires underestimated humans and tried to control them, Alan said from the doorway, where he stood with Jack, Diane, and Ella. We don't start fights, Admiral Zorax, but we finish them. Zorax looked at them all. Then I fear we are about to see if history will repeat itself once more. 2 days later, Alan stood with the others on the bridge of the council station, watching the view screen with growing tension. On one side of the screen, they could see the council fleet, 20 large warships positioned in a blockade formation. On the other side, 15 Earth ships had arrived, holding position just outside weapons range. This is madness, Alan said. Both sides are ready to fight because of a misunderstanding. Zorax, who stood nearby with council guards, shook his head. No misunderstanding, Dr. Wright. Humans have proven throughout history that they respond to threats with overwhelming force. The council is simply taking precautions. We respond to threats, Sam emphasized, not the other way around. The Oracle's data showed that clearly. The door to the bridge opened, and a group of council representatives entered. Unlike the previous meetings, this one included members from all 27 spacefaring species. Some looked concerned, others curious, and a few openly hostile. The full council has reviewed both Admiral Zorax's report and the data transmitted to Earth, announced the head counselor, a tall being with silver skin. We remain divided on how to proceed. Then let us break the tie, said a new voice. Everyone turned to see Olivia Grant enter the bridge. She was a human diplomat who had been working with the council for years, respected for her fairness and insight. Earth proposes a demonstration, Olivia continued, not of weapons or military strength, but of understanding. What kind of demonstration? Asked Zorax suspiciously. A challenge, Olivia replied. Send your best tactical minds against a human team in a simulated scenario. Let the council observe how humans really think and solve problems. The council members murmured among themselves. Then the head counselor nodded. We accept this proposal. It may provide useful insight. 3 hours later, the demonstration was prepared. In a large chamber on the station, screens showed a simulation of a complex tactical scenario. The challenge involved managing limited resources to escape a collapsing star system while protecting civilian populations from both natural dangers and potential enemies. Zorax had chosen 5 of the council's most brilliant strategists from different species. Olivia led a team of 5 humans, including Ella Mason from the science division. The simulation began, and immediately the differences became apparent. The council team approached the problem methodically, calculating optimal solutions based on known parameters. They moved their ships in perfect formations, following textbook strategies. The human team was different. They split their forces in unexpected ways. Some moves seemed illogical at first, until their purpose became clear minutes later. They took calculated risks and adapted quickly when conditions changed. Halfway through the simulation, Zorax input a command, changing the parameters. New threats appeared without warning, and some resources vanished. What are you doing? Ellen protested. That's cheating. It's a test of adaptability. Zorax replied calmly. Let's see how your humans respond to unexpected changes. To everyone's surprise, the human team didn't complain about the unfair change. Instead, they quickly reassessed and changed their strategy entirely. While the council team struggled to adjust their carefully calculated plans, the humans improvised new solutions using whatever was available. When the simulation ended, the results were clear. The human team had saved 83% of the civilian population and escaped with most of their fleet intact. The council team had saved only 61% and lost half their ships. This is exactly what the Oracle showed us, Alan said to the watching council. Humans aren't dangerous because we're aggressive. We're dangerous because we adapt. We find solutions where others see only problems. Olivia stepped forward. Every empire that fell after encountering humans made the same mistake. They tried to control or threaten us, forcing us to respond. but those who approached humans as equals, who traded and shared knowledge peacefully. They found loyal allies instead of dangerous enemies. The council members looked thoughtful. Even Zorax seemed less certain than before. Perhaps, the head counselor said slowly, we have been approaching this from the wrong perspective. The warning left by ancient empires, beware the humans, may not have been meant for potential conquerors, not potential allies. Alan nodded. The oracle showed that humans have always defended themselves against threats, but we've never started a conflict with a peaceful species. The question now, Sam added, is whether the council chooses to be our friend or our enemy. The council representatives exchanged looks. The decision they made now would shape the relationship between humans and the galactic community for generations to come. 2 days later, Alan stood with the others on the bridge of the council station, watching the view screen with growing tension. On one side of the screen, they could see the council fleet, 20 large warships positioned in a blockade formation. On the other side, 15 Earth ships had arrived, holding position just outside weapons range. This is madness, Alan said. Both sides are ready to fight because of a misunderstanding. Zorax, who stood nearby with council guards, shook his head. No misunderstanding, Dr. Wright. Humans have proven throughout history that they respond to threats with overwhelming force. The council is simply taking precautions. We respond to threats, Sam emphasized. Not the other way around. The oracle's data showed that clearly. The door to the bridge opened, and a group of council representatives entered. Unlike the previous meetings, this one included members from all 27 spacefaring species. Some looked concerned, others curious, and a few openly hostile. The full council has reviewed both Admiral Zorax's report and the data transmitted to Earth, announced the head counselor, a tall being with silver skin. We remain divided on how to proceed. Then let us break the tie, said a new voice. Everyone turned to see Olivia Grant enter the bridge. She was a human diplomat who had been working with the council for years, respected for her fairness and insight. Earth proposes a demonstration, Olivia continued. Not of weapons or military strength, but of understanding. What kind of demonstration? Asked Zorax suspiciously. A challenge, Olivia replied. Send your best tactical minds against a human team in a simulated scenario. Let the council observe how humans really think and solve problems. The council members murmured among themselves. Then the head counselor nodded. We accept this proposal. It may provide useful insight. 3 hours later, the demonstration was prepared. In a large chamber on the station, screens showed a simulation of a complex tactical scenario. The challenge involved managing limited resources to escape a collapsing star system while protecting civilian populations from both natural dangers and potential enemies. Zorax had chosen 5 of the council's most brilliant strategists from different species. Olivia led a team of 5 humans, including Ella Mason from the science division. The simulation began, and immediately the differences became apparent. The council team approached the problem methodically, calculating optimal solutions based on known parameters. They moved their ships in perfect formations, following textbook strategies. The human team was different. They split their forces in unexpected ways. Some moves seemed illogical at first, until their purpose became clear minutes later. They took calculated risks and adapted quickly when conditions changed. Halfway through the simulation, Zorax input a command, changing the parameters. New threats appeared without warning, and some resources vanished. What are you doing? Alan protested. That's cheating. It's a test of adaptability. Zorax replied calmly. Let's see how your humans respond to unexpected changes. To everyone's surprise, the human team didn't complain about the unfair change. Instead, they quickly reassessed and changed their strategy entirely. While the council team struggled to adjust their carefully calculated plans, the humans improvised new solutions using whatever was available. When the simulation ended, the results were clear. The human team had saved 83% of the civilian population and escaped with most of their fleet intact. The council team had saved only 61% and lost half their ships. "This is exactly what the Oracle showed us," Alan said to the watching council. "Humans aren't dangerous because we're aggressive. We're dangerous because we adapt. We find solutions where others see only problems." Olivia stepped forward. "Every empire that fell after encountering humans made the same mistake. They tried to control or threaten us, forcing us to respond. But those who approached humans as equals, who traded and shared knowledge peacefully, they found loyal allies instead of dangerous enemies." The council members looked thoughtful. Even Zorax seemed less certain than before. "Perhaps," the head counselor said slowly, "we have been approaching this from the wrong perspective. The warning left by ancient empires, 'Beware the humans,' may not have been meant for potential conquerors, not potential allies." Elan nodded. "The Oracle showed that humans have always defended themselves against threats, but we've never started a conflict with a peaceful species. The question now," Sam added, "is whether the Council chooses to be our friend or our enemy." The Council representatives exchanged looks. The decision they made now would shape the relationship between humans and the galactic community for generations to come.